local economy is the solution, even though many people who are profiting from the solution don't realize it. They don't realize that there are benefits, blessings, if you will, that are accruing here in Hamilton County, here in Chattanooga, and surrounding places. And even if you, my listener, are just passing through, you're on the highway, and you've got a load to deliver, even you in your town have a benefit in local economy that maybe you don't realize, even though it's there. And that's what we're trying to find out more about here at Nooganomics.com. My name is David Toulis, and our show covers local economy and the free market. We have opening today here in North County in Hickson, the Hickson part of Chattanooga, Harvest Grocery. And as I think about the festivities down there, this local a local enterprise going to be it is, as it's open now, the largest independent organic natural grocery store, locally owned grocery store in the Southeast. We have to say, okay, well, we have Harvest Grocery. The idea of Harvest is that local people in local economy can harvest more than they can harvest in national economy, which means that, well, in the national economy, in the debt economy, in the government-run sort of fascistic economy, there's a harvest as well. And I would like to suggest that we've been the things harvested for a long time, at least since the time of Nixon. And no doubt, if you think deeply about some of these questions in the world economy, especially here in the American economy, we've been harvested probably since 1865, when the South, the independent bulwark, the Scotch-Irish way of living independently, defiant of outsiders, defiant of outside authority, collapsed. That effort was defeated militarily, and so in military defeat, the country unified around crony capitalism became the leading idea. And finally, there was about a 39-year period of free market jurisprudence that coincided with the early part of the progressive era, and finally failed, collapsed when the High Court said, well, no, we need to have a new definition of the free market, of liberty, and that would be regulation. Regulation is how people are free, and we have to have the monitor state, the sentinel state there to make sure that we're all free, and to enforce contracts, to prohibit people from working longer hours, from making their own contracts. And since that, of course, then the progressive era came, and then other reforms and improvements came in national economy, and we developed the welfare warfare state. Harvest Grocery is opening today. It opened very early in the morning, and it's the project of three entrepreneurs, three capitalists, if you will, men of means, men who run their own businesses in diverse fields. One is Tim McClure, who is a contractor, has been in the contracting business for many years. And just about 5 years ago or so, as he told me, he thought, well, we want to do something different. I want to do something different. I want to be a help to people in this area in a different way. And he thought of health, and he thought, since he's been his family's been in the food service business for at least 2 generations, he thought, well, I know about the food business, and I'm going to enter it here in Hickson with the Harvest Grocery. So he bought the old Bilo, and in his sleep almost, he had it reorganized, rebuilt to be Harvest Grocery. So the capitalists include Tim McClure, a contractor and a builder, a developer, and a Michael Case, and then a physician, Dr. Charles Crump. They are the backers. There was some borrowing that was done in the fractional reserve system to make up for the lack of liquid, fresh existing capital that these men brought to the table. And so they have some kind of financing, and it is a full service store that is going to have, or has today, I should say, an array of items that include produce, meat and seafood, baked goods, cheese, vitamins and supplements, health and beauty items. There's also a hot bar, a salad bar, a sushi bar, fresh juices, smoothies, and brick oven pizzas. That's according to a recent posting on this new store in Nooga.com by Chloe Morrison, the business writer. And John Moss, the marketing director, says this is store number 1. If you open a business and you call it store number 1, that means you have an idea about exporting your concept. when the store opens, Harvest Grocery will be the largest independently owned natural foods store in the Southeast, John Moss says. So there's a lot going on today here in Hixson, and there certainly think you should stop by Harvest Grocery. It's in the old Bilo. It's over the railroad trestle from Abba's house on Hixson Pike, and it's going to be open through the afternoon, through the evening, early evening. And the first 100 shoppers who spent $50 or more have already received their reusable bag packed with goodies. Local, regional, and national vendors are on hand today, providing tastings and information, brochures, samples. There are all kinds of giveaways, beauty items and wellness items, food baskets. Barbecue grill is being given away at some point today. A smoker, meat smoker, and a bicycle. There was a ribbon cutting earlier this morning. Kind of the official corporate stuff that happens, and that took place too. But what we have in this conception of Harvest Grocery is the idea of harvesting, and harvesting, of course, is always a celebratory time. The farmer, reading in the scriptures, all the verses that talk about the sweat of putting the seed in and waiting for God to bless the soil with rain and manage the seed by his providential hand, and how all things are in God's providence. And the idea of the harvest is, of course, that now we have a party, we have a feast after the planting. And of course, the harvest brings processing, right? There's the processing of all the grain, the storage of it, the making of things for it, the commerce that arises from it, the buying and selling of strangers who come with caravans of, Peterbilt trucks, perhaps. In the old days, it was camels and donkeys and horses. And so the harvest is a great picture, but it's a great picture, I think, when you look at it in terms of local economy, in terms of the here, right? You, my listener, here at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, you're here. And the fact that there's a here, and that here really means something, I think is significant. And I believe that because of the age of the internet, the word here is going to become more valuable to you. And I say that because the internet gives you a fantasy, right? In the internet, you can fantasize that there is no here. In fact, the internet sort of sees everything from the top down in terms of ideas and perspectives and platforms. Every platform with its own argument, its own experts, its own view of the world, and yet there is no here on the internet. And yet the internet is certainly serviceable to us if we want to have a stronger sense of the here. In fact, our radio station, though we are lococentric and kind of lococentric and somewhat informed provincialists, which is how I like to view our toils here at the mic. We make great use of the internet. And just by the way, if you want to follow us online, if you're at work and have 6% of your cranial capacity available to tune in, please do. Don't give 7%, because that's more than you want to give. Your master, right? Your boss needs to have the rest of it, and he's counting on you to meet deadline. So just go to hotnewsradio.com. And there we are. And on your smartphone, again, the digital economy, the global intergalactic economy, the realm of the everywhere, on your smartphone, just get the TuneIn Radio app. That's TuneIn Radio app. It's free. And then type in Hot News Talk Radio. And there is my number one host here. I'm the number 4 show. I'm afraid to say I just can't do any better than that. Number 1 is Russell the Kid, who does Digital Drive, and of course Sean Hannity. I'd say he's 2. And but of course you can pick. Maybe it's NASCAR. We have NASCAR too. Well, the national economy is a skimming economy, and there's a story that moved today in the Guardian about a picture of the harvest economy at its end, right? When the harvest economy, the national debt-based, paper money, fraud-based, corrupt, government-run, bureaucratically subservient national economy where everybody's on the take. The picture of the end of that is one that I thought had already been painted and the paint dried, but no, it's still a work in progress, though I think it's at the very last stroke or two. And the date line is far, far away. It's in Harare, Zimbabwe, according to the Guardian. And next week, there's going to be an exchange of money, of currencies. A gaseous, scrofulous currency of the highest illness being exchanged for one that's a little bit less stricken, and that is the Zimbabwe dollar is going to be exchanged next week. And the numbers of contrast between one fraudulent currency and the other are just astounding. If you had if customers in banks, we're talking about, right, people have wads of Zimbabwe dollars, and they want to get some money that they can actually use because it has some longer longevity than the promissory notes that circulated for years. I can't believe they're still circulating. I thought maybe the acceptance of the American dollar in Zimbabwe replacing its Zimbabwe dollar had settled the matter, but no, they're still circulating. There's still value perceived in the Zimbabwe dollar, and the Zimbabweans can go to banks and they can convert. Okay, you can convert. And according to John Mangoya, who is the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe governor, it's just like Grandma Yellen, right? Grandma Yellen is our John Mangoya. Well, bank accounts with balances of up to 175 quadrillion Zimbabwean dollars will be paid $5. Okay, $5. If you have more than 175 quadrillion dollars, well, you'll be paid an exchange rate, according to the Guardian, of $1 per 35 quadrillion Zimbabwean dollars. In other words, you get a little bit better rate. And the highest and the last banknote printed by this bank in was it 2008? Now that's a long time ago. 7 years ago, was 100 trillion Zimbabwean dollars. You can see a copy of that at Nuganomics.com, in which when I posted that image with one of my essays, I couldn't help but just laugh, and it was just I'm tickled, but I'm also sad, because you see the picture of the Zimbabwean crash is what we face as well. In principle, we are in no different a situation. We are the victims of a kind of harvest economy. You see, the harvest is over. That's why the Zimbabwe dollar is going to be finally put into the silo, right? It's put in the silo where it is already rotten, and it cannot be put into anybody's mill to be churned into a sandwich. There's nothing there anymore. There's just the gristle. and there's a newsletter I get called Money Changer. I've subscribed for some time to this Tennessee newsletter. It's a printed newsletter, and it comes every month. I read it with great interest. And here's what the writer's assessment is of, and he's saying we have had enough. We've had enough of the harvest the skimming national economy. He says, I've had a double gutful of the Greece crisis, banks and central banks, and governments meddling with my life and everybody else's, stomping on productive folk, and feeding a lot of slop hogs who never worked a day or hit a lick at a snake in all their lives. This is a Tennessean, a Southerner, okay? Other than working and developing their inside contacts. I'd bet $1 to a donut that if we took all those folks running things, the politicians and central bank bureaucrats and academics and the government bureaucrats and watchers, sniffers, planners, regulators, and controllers, and locked them up on Madagascar for a year, from presidents all the way down through the third deputy number cruncher. At the end of that year, the whole world would be having fun, like they are today at Harvest Grocery, newly opened. And there wouldn't be any wars. They'd be making money, and the bureaucrats would have eaten up all the lemurs and started to eat each other. I swan, he says, I'd do it, but it'd be just too mean to the native Madagascarians. But till that happy day when Providence rids us of these ticks, chiggers, slugs, roundworms, and tapeworms, let's get back at it. We are, after all, the productive folks. That's you, my listener. You are the productive folk, okay? And producing is what we do. Dumb as that makes us look to these leeches. Well, that's a bit of cynicism there, and we just have to laugh, and we just have to appreciate it. Now, those who are making a living and providing a real service would include here in Chattanooga and Howland County, Dr. David Redd. David Redd is a Christian man, and reader of World Magazine. And because he reads good media, right, he pays attention to good media like you, my listener, pay attention to me, maybe just for a few minutes a day. You'll be better off. He's better off. And he has devised a service, a business called Quick Surge. And what he's done is he said, I'm giving up on Medicare, giving up on Medicaid and insurance. No, I'm not going to, I don't take insurance. I'm not going to fool with insurance anymore. And so what happens is he has a super low cost business. And that's Quick Surge. Online is QUIKSURG.com. QUIKSURG.com. It spells just like it sounds. Quick Surge. Of course, got the regular, modern misspellings to make things hip. And so what he does is he does surgery. You walk in and you get surgery, okay? And that would be a laceration, a cut, moles, skin tags, things like that he can cut out. And it's $150 or something like that. And by the way, just you need to take advantage of David Redd today. Take advantage of him today through my radio station. Here at HotNewsTalkRadio.com, we have a half-price website that's a link to a half-off. It's a half-off page, and I plan to put out there in a day or two if they're not already up. Coupons. So it's a $200 coupon, and you buy that coupon at half price from me. Okay, buy that coupon from me. It's a $200. That'll cover your surgery. It's probably under $200. You get that for only $100. Think about the advantage of that. If you know someone who needs something in the way of surgery or some improvement in looks that would be encouraging to that person, you could buy that coupon as a gift, perhaps. And I will make sure that that person gets it. So Quick Surge, David Redd. Also in the same direction, we have this harvest economy in Chattanooga, which I would say, though it reflects some of the ills in national economy, it has many of its strengths. And one of those strengths is independent hard work and keeping things small and seeing that you don't have to be big always to succeed. You can succeed because you're small, right? The economies of scale promise is not just to the giants, but to the miniatures. And Automax is not exactly miniature, but it's a small operation. And I want you to think about buying your next car from Automax. It's an unpretentious little lot. You barely notice it, but it's opposite Central High School on Highway 58. And Louis has a great business model, hardly any expenses. And so he can sell a car to you for much less markup because he doesn't have to pay for all things that other lots have to pay for between, okay? So you save $2,000 or $3,000 on buying a car from Louis. And one of them is, by the way, it's on our half-price website on Half Off Now. It's a fine red vehicle that is, I think it's about $3,500. And that's not exactly half off of anything, but it's considerably less than you'd find it on another lot. Automax is at 643-2886, 643-2886. And my name is David Toulis, and our show is Nuganomics.com. There's a story on Ron Paul's piece, Ron Paul Institute of Peace and Prosperity, and you know why there's no hope in national economy? Well, we're $18 trillion in debt. We, meaning they, right? They, the good people, are $18 trillion in debt. But like a teenager, his writer says, with a credit card, it continues to take on financial obligations seemingly without a care in the world. Maintaining a world empire requires the U.S. to hemorrhage wealth to defend its dominant position against any real or perceived upstart nation threat, even if that threat comes from the world's second largest economy, China, it seems. And he's talking about promises to we're gonna defend Israel. And the U.S. chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Martin Dempsey, went to Israel and he said, we will defend you. We will defend you. And are we not already doing that? We're defending the country that chops heads off at the federal level, right? This is at the federal level, and that would be the Saudi regime. And the writer is Amos Ben Gershom at Ron Paul's website. And he says, as the Saudi-Iranian Cold War heats up, this commitment, if honored, could run up incalculable costs in dollars and American lives. The U.S. already backs Saudi aggression against Yemen and the Saudi financing of al-Qaeda and ISIS to take down Assad in Syria. Is your head spinning? Well, my head's spinning as much hearing this as it does when I hear about the latest Republican presidential candidate, Will the U.S. join in a potential global war that may emerge from a Shia-Sunni conflagration? Well, we can't solve those problems. In a way, they're almost so remote, I can barely hear the whoops of bombs. They're very, very slight, and I hardly see the line of smoke there on the horizon. I can't quite see the smoke. There's a bit of chemtrailing maybe to prevent that from coming to view. But the national sector is a harvest economy. But we here in Chattanooga have a harvest economy that is different, right? It's positive. It's building new things. We're building back what we've lost. We're building over. We're starting afresh in our commerce here. I would say, Lord willing, right? That's something that I want to see happening. And today, it's not just wishful thinking. We can look and see it's actually going into effect with local investment, capitalism bringing about harvest grocery. This is David Toulis. I've got some things I want you to hear. Hang on. These are important announcements.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Right now, you can save half off at hotnewstalkradio.com. Go to hotnewstalkradio.com and click half off for exceptional deals on new and pre-owned unique quality items. For Hamilton County residents only. Save half off at Jet's Pizza, golf clubs, coffee, tea, a real sword, jewelry, and much more. It's half off. Go to half off at hotnewstalkradio.com right now, then click on half off to save big. Be sure to join us live Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays at 11 a.m. as we bring you lots of fantastic deals right here, AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. HotNewsTalkRadio.com and half off. Surf our site and ride the wave of savings. We've got a table here at Delia's in Soddy Daisy, ready to delight in a plate of authentic Mexican food. Delia's spreads a rich selection, loaded nachos, crazy chicken, homemade tamales, maybe the enchiladas with beef, chicken, pork, quesadillas. Every dish beautifully pictured on the menu to help us decide. Join us for lunch or dinner. We're at Delia's in Soddy Daisy on Dayton Pike near the Thrasher Light. Here's dinner. Delia's uses the freshest ingredients, cooked to perfection. Nachos, homemade. Delia's open every day except the Lord's Day. For lunch and dinner, treat yourself to Delia's genuine Mexican food. In Soddy, call 521-7145. That's 521-7145.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Are you tired of working in corporate America, or have you recently lost your job and would like to consider owning your own business? If you are, please call me, as I can help you look at franchises or business opportunities that fit you, the economy that we're in, and the type of businesses that are right in the greater Chattanooga area. After I help my clients find the right opportunity, I also help them find the best way to finance the business, including paying yourself through the startup phase. If you would like to learn more about opportunities that may be right for you, please call me for a free assessment. My name is Bruce Krebs at the Entrepreneur Source. Phone number is 423-875-5621.
Hi, this is your computer speaking. I don't feel so well. It's like I've come down with a bug, and I'm getting slower.
Affordable Computers. We fix sick computers. Your hometown guys at Affordable Computers will repair your PC in half the time of the big boys at an affordable price. No tricks, no gimmicks, no computer speak technobabble. Just good, quick, and courteous affordable service and repairs. Want to affordably supercharge your PC? Affordable Computers on Highway 58. Affordable Computers hand builds all desktops in-house. If you're looking for a better-than-new refurb laptop, $150 will get you a Dell or another name brand at Affordable Computers. Affordable Computers, Highway 58, between Arby's and Taco Bell. Also Fort O, Battlefield Parkway, near Holcombs. Affordable Computers, we service what we sell. Call 499-1975. That's 499-1975.
Wow, this is amazing. I'm feeling great, supercharged.
Do you feel better outside your home or business than in? Indoor air quality is important. Mildew, mold, smoke, water, and rodent damage are prime causes of poor indoor air quality. Ducts, Indoor Air Professionals, better known as Duct Busters, cleans HVAC systems using 127 definable Duct Busters steps. Let Mark Thompson address the indoor air quality at your business to help reduce employee illnesses. Prevent fires by cleaning your dryer vents. Mark and his parents, Dick and Joan Thompson, have been building our local economy and helping local people with HVAC systems 16 years. Ducts, Indoor Air Professionals. Call 876-9907. 876-9907. Ducks. Call now.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lily Wu. The president should soon see whether his personal pitch for a trade bill won him any more House votes.
There is nothing in this that requires countries to bring their labor laws and regulations into compliance before this deal takes effect.
Democratic Congresswoman Linda Sanchez of California is among House Democrats unswayed by the president. In fact, only about 20 Democrats publicly support the trade bill that would give the president authority to negotiate trade deals that Congress could approve or reject, but not amend.
Fox Radio's John Decker. The government employee data breach may be far worse than first reported.
According to a union representing federal employees, it believes the hackers who hit the Office of Personnel Management now have the personnel data of every single federal employee, every retiree, and up to 1 million more former employees.
Blake Berman with the Fox Business Network, and a lot of selling on Wall Street after a setback in Greek debt talks. Fox News, we report, you decide.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's Nooganomics with David Toulis.
Martin Luther King, in his prison letter, his letter from the Birmingham jail in August 1963, talks complainingly about the church. And he says, there was a time when the church was very powerful. It was during that period that the early Christians rejoiced when they were deemed worthy to suffer for what they believed. In those days, the church was not merely a thermometer that recorded the ideas and principles of popular opinion. It was the thermostat that transformed the mores of society. Wherever the early Christians entered a town, the power structure got disturbed and immediately sought to convict them for being disturbers of the peace and outside agitators. But they went on with the conviction that they were a colony of heaven. Quoting here Martin Luther King, and had to obey God rather than man. They were small in number, but big in commitment. They were too God intoxicated to be astronomically intimidated. They brought an end to such ancient evils as infanticide and gladiatorial contest. Things are different now, he says. The contemporary church is often weak. Is so often a weak, ineffectual voice with an uncertain sound. And he may have come at his conclusions from perhaps a different point that I'll come from mine, but he's making a very interesting remark about how the people of Christianity, who are numerous in Chattanooga, I can barely talk with anybody who's an outspoken atheist, right? It's hard to meet someone who has no connection with church or rejects Christianity outright, or often you make a comment and people will answer it as if they are believing Christians, right? They're practicing Christians. And so we have many advantages here in the South. That means there's much more grace in operation in the South than in other parts of the country. And Martin Luther King said, he says in his letter that he has taken, he says, I gradually gained a bit of satisfaction from being called an extremist. And he says, was not Jesus an extremist? Love your enemies, bless them that curse you, and pray for them that despitefully use you. And was not Amos an extremist for justice? And he goes on to quote Amos, let justice roll down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. I can hear the Minister King saying these things from his pulpit. And was not Paul an extremist? And then he mentions, quoting Paul, I bear in my body the marks of the Lord Jesus. And Martin Luther, an extremist, where he said, here I stand, I can do no other. So help me God. And John Bunyan, the author of Pilgrim's Progress and The Holy War and many other books, who said, I will stay in jail to the end of my days before I make a mockery of my conscience. And he was refusing to take a license to preach. And you don't license a minister unless, of course, he's in your denomination and you have authority for his ascension to the pulpit. You can license him, but there's no license by secular authority, by the civil magistrate of a minister. And so he's saying there has to be resistance, and he is saying, Martin Luther King is saying this, and Christianity, of course, teaches the same thing. There has to be a resistance to the established order. And one manner of that resistance I would like to suggest is in the context of local economy. And people don't have to be practicing Christians to take part in it. I know you, my listener, you're not a professing Christian. You don't make make much interest in church and Christianity and the Bible. And though you attended it when you were little, you have fallen away. But still, you have to understand that the concept of Christianity is everywhere you look. It's an inescapable system of life and thought. It cannot be escaped. Bruce Jenner can't escape, though everyone, all the fawning media people are pretending that he can escape this thing. You can't escape the creation. You can't escape the created order that is explained in Christianity. You can't escape it with your money, right? With your money, with your financial system, with your means of exchange, which we have in our country. We have a means of exchange which is debased. Now, listen. I'm going to ask you. Here are two sets of sounds. Okay, you tell me which sound is the sound of wealth and which sound is the sound of corruption. Which sound is? All right, there's one. All right, that's A. Now here we have B. All right, you hear that? Okay, is there a difference in these sounds? Well, one is A is the sound of harvest, national economy harvest of the people, and national economy harvest of inmates, national economy harvest of students, even of the elderly. And the second sound, this one here, this is the sound that we don't have anymore. We don't hear this sound anymore because it's the sound of wealth. Okay, this is the sound. That's the sound of money. What I'm holding in my hand, I'm holding 3 Morgan dollars, which are circulating coin. These have been in the pockets of probably hundreds of people. One coin that I have is dated 1898. Another one is 1900. The third has printed on it also 1900. This is the sound of wealth that we have. I would say we have a picture of this in local economy. We don't actually have money circulating in local economy today, but the ideal does circulate here. We have in our day this great skimming operation, the Great Harvest operation, and even the front page of the newspaper today, the Chattanooga Times Free Press, has at the top left. It's the second top position on the front page, a story about the great harvesting operation that is national economy, that is the economy that Martin Luther King, in his petition from the jail in Birmingham, that he was opposing. Now, I understand that he was an adulterer. I understand that he was a plagiarist. I understand that he had a communist influence and communist sympathies. But still, even though he had these things, he had his faults. He had very valuable things to say in that letter, and I hope you sometimes will give some time to it and not completely dismiss Martin Luther King. He has things to say about being a belligerent claimant person, which is something that I have practiced being such, and that's called belligerent claimant in person. That's the person who stands on his rights and takes the hit, and he has his view of culture, of constitutional government, was that all people would be equal before the law. And of course, he was seeking to obtain favor for the black man, the descendant of the slaves, and in those days there were people who were still survived the slave times and could recall them before the war. The headline in the Chattanooga Times Free Press today, in the Friday edition, critics question CCA jail operation proposal, and it's a long story about the Corrections Corporation, which runs the jail and is slated to get another additional $1 million. There's an info box on the jump page, which is page A7. And it tells what county taxpayers have paid this business to run Silverdale for the last 5 years. In 2010, it was $12.7 million, and this year it's $13.1 million. And the 2016 figure is proposed at $14.1 million. The total is $92 million. Well, people are making a living skimming off of the prison. This is the prison industrial complex, right? That is a grievous part of national economy that we enforce it here. We enforce it here because we have law enforcement organizations, we have police departments, and sheriff's departments have joined in. They've somewhat left behind their constitutional ancient constitutional duties and obligations, and they become law enforcers. And we can't blame them. Okay, there's no blame in my saying it that way, but they are not defenders of local people. They're not defenders of the Shire anymore, as they once were in their medieval in their medieval form. But there's a story in the New York Times that moved a couple days ago, and it's about this very system. And I wanted to say something about it because I'm trying to well, in my thinking about policing, and we've published several important essays at Nuganomics.com about the whole idea of policing, asking the question, are cops constitutional? And our answer is no, they're not. But of course, who cares, right? Who cares that they're not constitutional? But they're not. But because they're not constitutional, they have violated important benefits and privileges and protections that the people had prior to a point about 75 years or 70 years after the founding of the Federal Republic. And the story in the New York Times tells about who is eaten up, who is consumed in this machinery. It says that the system routinely punishes poor defendants before they can get their day in court. That's the bail system, the bail bonding system, often keeping them incarcerated for longer than if they had been convicted right away. So you have people who can't make bail. It sets up a stream where first there's the punishment, and then there's the opportunity to go to court for trial, says Paul DeWolf, a Maryland State public defender. The story say that critics of the bail bonding system, which keeps men who can't make bail behind bars for months, even, and we heard about the young black man who was in prison in Rikers Island in New York for 3 years and didn't even have a trial. He was not even tried, and yet he was held for 3 years in a dark prison where he had been abused by the guards. The bail money system is supposed to curb the risk of flight by requiring defendants to post bond, right? But critics say the system allows defendants with money to go free, even if they're dangerous, while keeping low-risk poor people in jail unnecessarily and at great cost to taxpayers. The story goes on to say, for those who cannot afford to post bail, even a short stay in jail can quickly unravel lives and families. Criminal defendants are overwhelmingly poor, many living paycheck to paycheck, and detention can cause job losses and evictions. Parents lose custody of their children and may have a difficult time regaining it, even when cases are ultimately dropped, right? You have a dropped case and your children are in state control. And people in jail who are not guilty routinely accept plea deals simply to gain their freedom, leaving them with permanent records. And who is most damaged by a record like that? Well, that people who apply for jobs, right? And what color are they? Well, that's right. They're often black. That's why Dr. Eleanor Woods here in Chattanooga, the president of the NAACP, wants to ban the box. And Tennessee has not done that, but other states have, where they have effectively prohibited state companies in their application paperwork or online application systems to ask up front the question of, have you ever been convicted or have you ever been arrested? Those are things that can't be asked immediately, because what happens is the software bumps those applicants out, and they may be perfectly fine applicants, but since it's done by machine, it's not done in a local economy fashion, right? Job applications aren't done personally. They're done in a mass system, in a mass way, among a mass body of applicants. And on a single day in New Jersey, a study said more than 1,500 defendants were in jail because they could not come up with $2,500 or less. Mainstream groups, including the American Bar Association, recommend that money bail be used only as a last resort. And so judges say they don't have any options. Well, I want to mention that we are here members at Hot News Talk Radio, members of Trade Bank, or Chattanooga Trade Bank is the smarter way to barter. And my name is David Toulis. Thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time. Our show is Nuganomics.com. And there are 400 local businesses in every field that take part in Trade Bank as we do. And we traffic, you might say, we trade back and forth in Trade Bank dollars by debit card. And we are preserving our cash. I'm a small businessman, and cash is very difficult to keep. It's something that has a great premium on it. I'm not huge and successful, and so I'm a small businessman, and Trade Bank is a real benefit to me. call Jürgen Mutz. Jürgen Mutz, the German longtime Southerner with a twang. Okay, 877-2202, 877-2202. And I want to just also mention, since I'm talking about small business, Eric Pelton. He's an accountant and a tax preparer. And if you run a small business and have a cash flow problem, Eric is the one to help you. If you have a tax problem, you're getting bitten in the backside by IRS letters, Eric would love to hear about your situation. He'd love to hear about it and would propose a probably inexpensive remedy for you. EJPelton.com is online, and also the number is 622-3156. That's 622-3156. But we're talking about the idea of the Harvest Grocery opening in Chattanooga in the North Shore, and it's Harvest Grocery is a picture of harvesting of a good thing, right? The work has been done. We're gonna party. The harvest is long, and we're working hard for it. But there's this wonderful sense of accomplishment in the harvest, and that's what Harvest Grocery is. We have a national economy, which is the reverse of it, right? It's like looking at it in the form of a negative, and like a photograph seen on the negative rather than on paper. And the national economy is a harvest economy, and prisoners are people who are part of the harvest. The prison system is a harvesting, skimming mechanism, and we see this phenomenon in the student borrowers are harvested. They are put into a kind of peonage, a kind of slavery, but more starker than the student borrowers are really prisoners who in fact are behind bars. And 3/4 of the people who go into prison are addicted to drugs or alcohol, and the system views them as useless. They're useless. They're throwaway people. But even so, our corporate betters, people like this, people such as those who run companies, CCA, for example, they will wring a profit even from them, even from the worst of society, right? The dregs of society. The corporations in the prison industry will harvest. There was a study in 2012 by the Vera Institute of Justice, and it found that the aggregate cost of prisons in 2010, that's 5 years ago, in the 40 states that took part in the study was $39 billion. And that year, 2,266,832 inmates were in federal and state prisons and local jails. A total of 7.3 million, or 1 out of every 31 adults, is behind bars or being monitored on probation and parole. The average annual taxpayer cost in those states was $31,286 per inmate. New York, the cost there is $60,000 per inmate. The U.S. has the world's largest prison population, and the rate is 707 per 100,000, making it number 2 in the world, right after the Seychelles Islands with 868. Cuba is 510. Okay, we're 710. Cuba is 510. The Marxist dictatorship. Russia 470. Gentle Russia. France is 103, and Germany is 78. Think of a prison, Franklin Sanders says, as a large, uncomfortable 24-hour hotel where the guests pay $85 a day and can't stiff you for a room. Profits are made not only by running privatized prisons, but recycling inmates through privatized probation, rehabilitation. And what happens? Well, the last cent is squeezed out of every last cent from these people on people who are waiting to get out, people who are on misdemeanor sentences, and of course those on felony sentence. Every last cent from them and their families is wrung out by the harvesting national economy. And the courts themselves are the same. They get them to the prison, they keep them there. Legal fees, fines, probation, revocation threats, and of course we have debtor's prison. We think debtor's prison is only something that happened at the time prior to the reforms that came at the time of Charles Dickens in England. Both the prison industry and the court industry support untold workers, clerks, bailiffs, lawyers, guards, judges, and administrators galore. He says no single source of revenue that can be squeezed out of inmates is overlooked. Not a single source. Underclothing, toothbrushes, toothpaste, shaving cream, other toiletries, snacks, e-cigs, phone calls. Nothing is free. The people who run the phone call system in prisons they can charge $1.80 or something like that per minute. I mean, they have gigantic profits, feeding off of the people who are in this engorged system. It's a system that's engorged. It covets every person, and it just grinds them all to powder. People are harvested in the prison system. Their families are harvested as well. For the corporations who profit, the best part of this business is the following: that the main payer is government, and it will never not make a payment. It will not default. It's supported by government, and all the rest comes from harvesting inmates and their families. Well, this is David Toulis, and this is a problem we can't solve. But I think if we can solve we can solve perhaps the feeding mechanism of prisons and jails, not by any government program. No government program can solve it. It's really has to be solved, I would say, by the private sector, by the free market. And there you find families, there you find individuals who have discretion, who have capital. There's so little capital today, even though we have zero interest rate policy and money is free. And we hardly know what anything is really worth because of all this free money flowing into the banking sector and into the economy. And capital is, think of all the capital, the $400 million in local economy money that goes to fund the public school system, which is the factory school, the human management enterprise, the great jobs boon for white-collar professional people who work for that cartel. We don't have enough capital, though we are capital, as it were, debt, as it were, in the credit with the promise that there's no debt behind it, right? Is pouring into the economy, and has been in this scheme of suppressed interest rates for almost 30 years. We've had declining interest rates, declining bond returns for 30 years. A system of national economy that is not going to work. It's failing. I mean, it's always failing, and yet it's always redeeming itself at the last minute. What are we going to do about it? Well, the argument is local economy and the free market. And part of the idea of the free market is that and I was mentioning the feeding mechanism of prison, that we have to have mechanisms that are private, that deal with the souls of people, right? That give encouragement, give reason for people not to steal, not to kill, not to be part of a gang. There has to be something. Got to get government out of the way. The more government, the more the civil magistrate stands there to help, the less likely a real reform can happen, and the less likely the people will change. We have crime. Crime is half of what it was in the 1970s. But still, there are many problems. There are many individuals who are being caught up in the system. The answers are, I would say, the family, the operation of God through the church and the gospel ministry, and the marketplace itself. And part of that, I would say, is there are a lot of details there, and that's what we do here every day. We cover this topic of bringing prosperity, bringing capital back to Chattanooga. Capital is based on character, right? If you have character, you can be a capitalist. Even though there are people who are in the crony capitalist world who make their living by having connections, right? Having bills passed in their favor, making everything a political issue. Well, we think differently. We think that if you love your neighbor, you'll buy local, and that near is better than far. That small is better than big. That simple beats complex. That personal is better than corporate, and physical than abstract. And because we think that way, I would like to recommend that you go and have lunch and go to have dinner tonight. It's Friday. Do something special. Go to have dinner at Delia's. Delia's is she's my restaurant. Okay, Maria Hernandez runs a great restaurant in South Saudi Daisy. Go out of your way. It's not this fabulous restaurant. Okay, it's not a fabulous restaurant. It's a working man's restaurant, and that's why you should go there, because it's very typical. It's got the best Mexican food. It's a working man's restaurant, okay? But you'll like it. It's got a lot of character. It's South Saudi Daisy. Find out how people south of the border eat when they eat their best. And Maria would love to serve you. Delia's, the special today is the taco salad. It's $6.25. It's $1 off. Hey, $1 off at Delia's Authentic Mexican Food. Make sure you mention that you listen to the radio station. You get a free iced tea if you do. Do remember, that's how I make my living, is serving my advertisers. And if they know that you respond to my suggestions, well, maybe I'll get another check. Okay. This is David Toulis. Our show is Nuganomics.com.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Are you calling me yeller? Them's is fighting words.
Being called yellow, not a compliment. Yellow, the international symbol for caution. Yellow. You certainly wouldn't want to eat yellow snow. Yuck. We typically avoid yellow. So why would you put your hard-earned money into an outdated, expensive, slower yellow page? Or even trust their advice? Especially when your hard-earned advertising dollars could go much further, earning you greater profits, using the multifaceted resources and expertise of Chattanooga Web Services. You want real results for your advertising dollars. The local Chattanooga media experts, Chattanooga Web Services, will help your business grow, utilizing diversified media resources that's affordable to you, whether it involves the internet's World Wide Web, video, audio, or modern-day print. So don't get sucked into the yellow folks trying to upsell you into spending even more money as it ventures into a territory unfamiliar to them, the internet. Call Chattanooga Web Services, 424-3373. That's 424-3373. Or go to ChattanoogaWebServices.com, ChattanoogaWebServices.com.
Don't worry, just relax, you need a car. Come to AutoMax.
My wife and I keep the cost down. We sell a quality vehicle at a great price. Our overhead is low. I have no employees, so I can keep my costs down. In turn, the consumer gets a better price. Everything that I sell is emission ready. We really try to go the extra mile for our customer. I don't have to pay an employee commission. I don't have to pay somebody to come out here and wash my cars. You know, I do it all from buying to selling from A to Z. I don't have the overhead where I have to raise the price on my vehicle to cover costs. Here at AutoMax, you're going to guarantee that you get credit. As long as you're making those payments, you're going to build on your credit. Unlike the buy here, pay here's where they don't report to credit bureaus, we report to all three credit bureaus. The subprime lenders that we deal with, you don't have to have any credit, or you can have bad credit. You can even have a bankruptcy, a repossession.
Don't worry, just relax, you need a car. Come to AutoMax.
AutoMax, across from Central High on Highway 58 in Harrison. AutoMax, 643-2886. That's 643-2886. Go to AutoMaxChat.com. That's AutoMaxChat.com.
Hot News Talk 1240.
Surgery does not have to be financially painful. Hi, I'm Surgical Dr. David Red, and I'd like to invite you to my walk-in surgery clinic in North Shore. Quick Surge brings you immediate relief from moles, skin tags, maybe a laceration. Quick Surge. You walk in, fill out a mini form, I numb the area I'll treat, and before you know it, you're on your way home. Do I take insurance? No, because I take cash customers. I have super low and fixed prices, credit card, check, or cash. Uninsured, member of the working financially disadvantaged, choose Quick Surge. I publish prices online. No murk, just sunshine. Hassle-free, pain-free. Love the idea of a personal relationship with a doctor? Drop in with a nasty cut from work. Quick Surge, I'll take care of you. Quick Surge in the Public Center on the North Shore. No insurance hassles with Quick Surge. The national medical system is dysfunctional, overpriced, very alienating. I'm part of the solution, and so are you. Come on home. QuickSurge.com. QUIKSURG. Relief.
Here you are, working to keep your customers happy and to manage your cash flow. IRS problems are the last thing you need, but here they are, flapping about you like vultures. Get help from Eric Pelton and his team of accountants at EJ Pelton Company. Audits, letters, proposed return changes, 1099s, penalty threats. Pelton Tax Resolution Services brings peace of mind and helps you keep more of what you've earned. EJPelton.com. Offices on Brainerd Road and in Soddy Daisy, just north of the Bilo. That's EJ Pelton. Call 622-3156. Think ahead, 622-3156.
When my brother and I opened the First Jets Pizza, we believed if we made the best pizza, customers would find us. So we made fresh dough each day, used fresh toppings, and premium mozzarella cheese. 300-plus stores later, we still do.
Try Jet's famous 8-corner pizza with premium mozzarella cheese and one topping, now just $11.99 for a limited time only. Jet's Pizza.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
WSDT Soddy Daisy, Chattanooga.
Live at the Capitol, where dramatic developments are unfolding in the House. Moments ago, lawmakers narrowly passed a measure giving the president the authority he's been seeking to seek free trade agreements. It was 219 to 211 to let Mr. Obama negotiate with 11 Pacific Rim nations and then bring that package back for an up or down vote in Congress. But that came after a vote that was a resounding rebuke for the president last hour, the House resoundingly rejecting half of this package, a portion that funds the retraining of workers who lose their jobs as a result of free trade. All of this very much leaves the future of this package in question. Top House Democrat Nancy Pelosi urged her colleagues to vote against the president.
We need to slow this fast track down.
But again, a measure that gives the president the authority to seek free trade has indeed passed. I'm Stephen Portnoy, live at the Capitol. Now with more CBS News, here's Deborah Rodriguez.
Police in upstate New York thought they were closing in on two men who busted out of prison last Saturday. But then the weather started working against them. CBS News reporter Karen Riegel is in Plattsburgh.
Rain is coming down now at a good clip here in Plattsburgh, soaking the roads, soaking the cars, soaking the grass, soaking the forest, and you can imagine soaking the searchers. It can't make closing this perimeter on what they believe are these two escaped prisoners here in the state forest an easy job.
Based on scent picked up by police dogs and fresh footprints, investigators believe the two men are still together not far from the Dannemora State Prison in an area full of summer homes, some of them not open yet for the season. There's speculation the prisoners may have holed up in one of them. Former Governor Jeb Bush expected to announce his candidacy for the Republican presidential nomination Monday. He's already getting lots of support from elected party officials back home in Florida.
That support includes all 3 members of Florida's cabinet and 11 members of the state's congressional delegation. Several of them served in state offices when Bush was governor. When Bush formally announces his candidacy on Monday, he'll be one of at least 4 Florida Republicans running for the White House. The others are Senator Marco Rubio, former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee, and retired neurosurgeon Ben Carson.
Correspondent Peter King. Americans are apparently feeling better about the economy.
Upbeat economic reports like this
Car sales took off in the U.S. last month.
are apparently putting people in a better mood. The latest numbers show consumer confidence surging on expectations that a stronger labor market will boost wages, stimulate spending, and help overall economic growth. The University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index shows consumers are the most optimistic they've been about their personal finances since 2007. Experts say it's one more factor that will likely push the Federal Reserve to boost interest rates later this year. Sam Litzinger, CBS News, Washington.
U.S. regulators confirm another death, the 7th related to a Takata-made airbag. Kylan Langlanais is killed in a car crash in Louisiana in April. Dow down 133. This is CBS News.
Do you want to learn how to earn commissions of up to 20% by laundering millions of foreign dollars?
Well, we can't help you with that. But among the many IT problems we solve, Barracuda's email security solutions keep email phishing attacks like this from entering your business network and any valuable data from leaking out. Reclaim your network like 150,000 other businesses have. To learn more about stopping email-borne threats, visit barracuda.com/email.
What if your phone wasn't just a phone? With Rdio, it isn't. It's a musical fire hose ready to pump your ears full of music. It's a musical bloodhound tracking down that one perfect station based on your favorite artist or genre. Go get it, boy. With Rdio, your phone isn't just a phone. Download the free Rdio app right now and get your music any way you want for free until you say otherwise. That's RDIO. Rdio, tuned to you.
For many people who live near the Fukushima nuclear power plant in Japan, it'll finally be okay to go home.
About 55,000 Fukushima refugees will be able to go home under new government guidelines, yet many evacuees are ambivalent. I have no intention of going home, says this man. I need proof the water's safe. I can't just live by myself, says this elderly woman. We need young people, too. The evacuation will be lifted in early 2017. Lucy Kraft, CBS News, Tokyo.
Montana offers the latest craze in camping. They call it glamping, glamorous camping. Tents at places like the ranch at Rock Creek in Phillipsburg come with king-size beds, plumbing, soak tubs. Fans say you still feel like you're out in the elements without having to rough it. Prices vary from $450 to $5,000 a night. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's Nooganomics with David Toulis.
One area in which local economy is making inroads is in that of education, which is to say the service to moms and dads and to their children of knowledge, study, learning skills, learning mathematics, learning writing, learning the subjects, history. All these are services that families need, and the great provider of this service today in Chattanooga and Hamilton County is government, is the civil authority, which has taxing power, whose operation effectively prevents us from owning our own land. But there it is. It taxes us to the tune of, $400 million. That's the operating budget of Hamilton County Schools is about $400 million. And it's a system that's deemed widely successful, right? And wildly successful by a few. Most people, though, are just putting up with public education and are waiting for the day when the factory school just goes away. But we have the idea that it can't go away because it provides an essential public service, because the marketplace has a gap and it can't fill a particular need. And this fantasy, long forgotten, though, still holds sway in the outworkings every day of Hamilton County schools. The marketplace, though, is there and is thriving. And among the practitioners of educational services are parents who serve their own children, right? That's already a school, if you want to think about it. And what about parents, though, such as Livia Michaels in Harrison, who has the idea that she can serve her own children in a very businesslike manner with classes and teachers, but then other families as well. And that's what Livia Michaels does. She runs Michaels Homeschool Association of Chattanooga, and the association started with an association of her family members. She and her husband, Mark, who's 54 years old, have 4 children. They're a home educating family, 2 in college, 2 at home. Livia, welcome to Nooganomics.com.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Tell us about your children.
I've got a 21-year-old, Christina Michaels, and she is actually in college right now, and she's going for a pre-med biology degree with chemistry, minor in chemistry. My second daughter, who's 19, her name is Shante Michaels, and she's also going for a pre-med biology with a business minor. I also have a 11-year-old, Matthew. He's a boy. I do homeschool him, as well as my 7-year-old, Isabella Rose Michaels.
Who brings in the bread in your house? What does Mark do? And then we'll ask what you do. But what is Mark's calling?
Absolutely. He's actually a truck driver, and he works for Roxby, and that's a decorative surface company for just countertops and hardware and things like that. And so he is the main supplier for our finances.
How far does he drive on a daily jaunt?
He can go as far as I believe Atlanta or
these are day runs. He's not gone for a week.
No, that's correct.
To Seattle or something.
No, he comes home every night, so, which is wonderful.
Well, as a homeschool dad, I'm sure he really wants to be there with Matthew and Isabel, the 2 children at home.
Absolutely.
Well, tell us, you are running Michaels. Of course, that's your family name, Michaels Homeschool Association of Chattanooga and Harrison. It's a kind of an embryonic business. It's a service to your children, but then you're having other people involved in taking on these and using these services. So tell us about how this association began. I guess we should start back further. How is it that you began going into the educational field as an endeavor as a mom, and your husband as the dad of these 4 children? How did that? Tell us about your origins in homeschooling and how this grew out of that.
Okay. Well, basically, it was all a God thing. I have a degree in physical therapy, which was what my background and what I had originally had plans to do, but God completely changed that for us. He actually worked in my life for probably about a year and a half, and just basically he was just putting people in places, people in my life to just that I actually homeschooled, and just about everywhere that I went or looked or just turned around, there was a homeschool family. And I distinctly remember this homeschool family that I just really looked up to. Their children were just so well behaved, and now mind you, this is 14, 15 years ago, so. And I was like, okay, they are awesome, but I don't think that's for me. But God just really took me and just said, this is the path that I want for you and your family. And so that's how it just evolved out of obedience to what he had in store for my life. And my husband was completely behind me on this. And so I am very thankful for a husband that just backed me up 100%. So I homeschooled for a few years, and the way that Michael's Homeschool Association of Chattanooga began, it actually began in 2009, and so this will be our upcoming 7th year consecutive year, and it actually was just a PE program. So it was for the first 5 years, it was just myself and my 2 daughters that they were just constantly behind me. They really supported me 100% and really helped me to build this program. But so last year we started Spanish classes. We actually added Spanish classes to our program. So it actually changed names from Michael's Homeschool Physical Education to Michael's Homeschool Association of Chattanooga. And God, again, just this coming year we're actually going to start mathematics classes. So it's just, God is just evolving this, and it's just amazing what God is doing in this.
Well, tell us about the people who are teaching these classes. What size classes are they? When do they take place? And who the teachers are?
Absolutely. Well, we have a Spanish teacher, and her name is Nelita Burgos. She's actually a native Spanish speaker or teacher, I should say. She worked in a Christian academy in Cleveland. So she actually worked as a teacher in Cleveland, and she is going to be doing our elementary, middle, and our high school program this coming year. Our elementary is actually composed of kindergarten through 4th grade. Our middle is from 5th through 8th grade, and our high school will be Spanish 1 and Spanish 2. She is totally dedicated to conversing in the classroom, and one of the things that I really enjoyed and just really it was just a godsend for me was when she sat down with me not long ago and she said, do you mind if I pray with my children, with the children in my classroom before each class? And I go, praise the Lord. Yes, absolutely. That is exactly what we want. We want a program that puts God first. And so that's our Spanish teacher. She has excellent pronunciation in her Spanish. And let's move on to our mathematics. Our mathematics teacher is Kristen Carlisle, and she has excellent credentials as well. She has, you can see, or you can actually take a look at her credentials in our website. But she has actually been able to teach children and prepare them for the ACT testing and standardized testing. So we are really excited. She's also a was a developer of it's the diver concept, I think it was, that was in it was published in the 2013 mathematics magazine. So you can also see that on our website as well. But anyways, we're really, really excited that she's with us. And
what is the capacity of these classes? And where do you meet?
Okay, we meet at Washington Hills Recreation Center off of Highway 58, and the capacities are about 20 to 25 in each classroom. They're actually able to, these teachers are actually able, because they have had experience in this field, they're actually able to have a bigger classroom. So again, we're just very excited to have them. be a part of our team.
Now, this is not a business yet, but you're thinking it could become a business. It could be something that turns a profit eventually. But right now, it's not. You're just trying to serve your children. And well, who are the other people who would come to Michael's Homeschool Association classes in math or Spanish? Who are they? Why would they come to you? And how do you find them? How do you reach them?
Okay, so Michael's Homeschool Association of Chattanooga is basically a Christian organization, and what we do is we partner with homeschool parents and to give our children a higher education. So, for example, if let's take again our Spanish teacher, if you're not able to do Spanish at home, then we have those services provided for you. Not everyone can do Spanish or can teach Spanish at home to your children. So, she's there and she's committed to that conversation because as we talked, she was telling me that, and this is Miss Burgos, she was telling me that when you go to a different country, our children, as a matter of fact, many of our children go on mission trips, and they need to know, okay, where's the bathroom? Where do I go to eat? So those things that you can converse with so that they're prepared for those areas. So again, it fully committed to what they're doing at this time.
Well, is there a way that families who have children in private schools or public schools can take advantage of Michael's Homeschool Association? Are these classes offered at times that might be convenient to some of those families?
They're actually taking place during the day when the school system is open toward the school systems, public school system, and the private school systems are actually going on. So no, they're actually for homeschoolers, and we're actually in the facility from 11:30 to 2:30 to provide that service just for the homeschool community, so that the homeschool community can be united and just have a place to where they can gather.
Well, maybe there are parents who have children in public schools who say, "Wow, maybe I could have get an out from classes around lunchtime and have my daughter or my son go to your organization for a class or two."
Okay.
Maybe.
And that's something to be considered. Absolutely.
Well, that probably would have to come from petitions by parents.
Absolutely.
It wouldn't come from any administration.
Absolutely.
Of course, because that would suggest that there's some fault on the side of the administration.
Absolutely.
Well, we suggest that you're a kind of a proto business and a business in embryonic form. How would you turn it into a business? How do you decide finally this is not just a program anymore involving my children and friends I've met and other homeschoolers. This is something which is actually profitable, and to make it sustainable and to maybe expand the service, assuming it's good, expand the service. I'm now a business. How do you know when that takes place?
Well, basically, first of all, it's just, again, it's a God thing. When God tells me that this is where you need to go, then I just have to follow in obedience. But my goal and my vision is to have this organization or this association be in at least 4 different places. Right now, the association is just sustaining itself. Right now, I do pay my teachers, and I pay them according to our contract, but and so they're the primary, and my priority right now is to make sure that they do get their paycheck and they do get their they're happy in their situation that they're in, or the places or the location. And so, but right now it's just the program is just kind of feeding itself. It's not. It'll evolve as the years go by.
So the other branches, the 3 possible new branches of Michael's Homeschool Association of Chattanooga would be maybe, let's say, Hickson. Then one could be over maybe Ottawa. Then one over in the area formerly known as Tiftonia, perhaps on the other side of Chattanooga.
Sure.
And again, your market are families such as mine. I'm a homeschool dad, yes. And we abstain from the idea of the factory school. And so my children might need math. They might need Spanish, and so they would come to a place maybe more convenient than where you are now in Harrison.
Absolutely.
So it's really your job there is finding a place and then finding the teachers and the subjects that you want to offer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And anybody that's struggling at home with their children, as far as not being able to teach their child. For example, let me give you an example, a personal example. When I was going in through high school, I actually took geometry for 2 weeks. And I decided it wasn't for myself because at the time, geometry was just an elective. So I just decided it wasn't for me. So I obviously am not able to provide or teach my children geometry because I didn't have it. And so therefore Miss Kristen Carlisle is there, and she has that background. She has that that knowledge that my children would need for them to be able to pass the geometry, or it doesn't, it could be any other class that we have available. But obviously the Spanish, not a lot of people can teach that. And mathematics, it's just hard when you get up to the higher levels to be able to teach those classes. So we're here to provide those services.
To what height does your math teacher teach?
She has accelerated, accelerated statistics, I think, in even more. So I'm not exactly sure where I know she's pretty high up there.
Well, so this is a program, it's a ministry, and you're serving families. What happens during the summer? Because the public schools are out, all the private schools are out. Are there classes being offered right now?
Not in our organization, they're not. We actually do have just the summers off so that everybody can regroup during that time, because I do have meetings with my teachers at least once a month to just plan for the year ahead. And that is some of the things that we have been doing so far. I do some of the curriculum fairs around the area, so to get our name and just known out there.
Will you be at the Chattanooga Area Homeschool Association Homeschool Expo in July, which is July 17 and 18?
We're working on that.
Okay, so that
I will be. I'm sorry. I will be at the one in Hickson next week. It'll be on Thursday.
Can you say
That's
something
Explorers.
about that?
That's the Explorers youth curriculum sale. And so I will be there, and I also will be. I had actually had an offer for our association, which was our registration fees were completely just taken off for when I went to the CSTIA youth curriculum sale in Camp Jordan. So that was an offer. So there were some people that were actually asking me to do that again. And so we're actually going to do that again at the Explorers.
Well, this is David Toulis, and our show is Nuganomics.com. We're talking with Levia Michaels, who is who's a mother of 4 children, 2 at home still, and she runs an association, which is a kind of a program, a service, a eventual business possibly. It's called Michaels Homeschool Association of Chattanooga. In Harrison, she's been homeschooling for 14 years, and her first classes in a community center on Highway 58 are in Spanish and mathematics. And just to mention
PE.
and PE. So there are 3 areas that she covers with her hired staff. There's an expo July 17 and 18 at Camp Jordan. It's every year. If you'd like to find out more about that, it's just go to online at csthea.org. That's the local homeschool association, or you can just look up Homeschooling Chattanooga, and you'll find it there. And this is not these programs, and possibly even Levia Michaels' work in teaching is not just, I would say, for homeschool families. It really is for families who want something really good for their children, something extra. Okay. The expo is for that, and so still though your market is a constricted market of the hundreds of families in Chattanooga who home educate their children.
That is correct.
But it could expand beyond that sector.
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, now your husband Mark is he's 54. He's a truck driver. He's home every evening. What is his take on this prospective business that's growing in his home now? Has been operating in some form for 7 years. What is his take on your work?
Well, absolutely. He actually backs me up 100%. In the first stages of our program, when we're just starting, so he actually was helping me with gas buddy. He was actually so he actually fed into that. So he's definitely 100% backing me up on this.
Now, how can my listener find you online or call you?
Okay, they can call me at 423-290-4890. And our website is michaelshac.webs.com.
Say that again.
michaelshac.webs.com. And there's no www in front of that.
Well, we're talking with a woman who has an idea of serving her children with professional teaching in first in physical education, and then in math, and now Spanish, and she's inviting other families to go along. This is something that is a ministry in Harrison, the Harrison area of Chattanooga, that is going to become eventually a very profitable service. Livia, thank you for joining me here at
Thank you so
Nuganomics.
much for having me, David. Thank you.
Livia Michaels is a homeschool mom and a budding entrepreneur, a future entrepreneur, serving her public, needing learning and teaching services. This is David Toulis, and our show is Nuganomics.com. I've got some announcements I want you to hear.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Right now, you can save half off at hotnewstalkradio.com. Go to hotnewstalkradio.com and click half off for exceptional deals on new and pre-owned unique quality items. For Hamilton County residents only. Save half off at Jet's Pizza, golf clubs, coffee, tea, a real sword, jewelry, and much more. It's half off. Go to half off at hotnewstalkradio.com right now, then click on half off to save big. Be sure to join us live Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays at 11 a.m. as we bring you lots of fantastic deals right here, AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. hotnewstalkradio.com and half off. Surf our site and ride the wave of savings. We've got a table here at Delia's in Saudi Daisy, ready to delight in a plate of authentic Mexican food. Delia's spreads a rich selection, loaded nachos, crazy chicken, homemade tamales, maybe the enchiladas with beef, chicken, pork, quesadillas, every dish beautifully pictured on the menu to help us decide. Join us for lunch or dinner. We're at Delia's in Saudi Daisy on Dayton Pike near the Thrasher Light. Here's dinner. Delia's uses the freshest ingredients, cooked to perfection. Nachos, homemade. Delia's open every day except the Lord's Day. For lunch and dinner, treat yourself to Delia's genuine Mexican food. In Saudi, call 521-7145. That's 521-7145.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Are you tired of working in corporate America, or have you recently lost your job and would like to consider owning your own business? If you are, please call me, as I can help you look at franchises or business opportunities that fit you, the economy that we're in, and the type of businesses that are right in the greater Chattanooga area. After I help my clients find the right opportunity, I also help them find the best way to finance the business, including paying yourself through the startup phase. If you would like to learn more about opportunities that may be right for you, please call me for a free assessment. My name is Bruce Krebs at the Entrepreneur Source. Phone number is 423-875-5621.
Hi, this is your computer speaking. I don't feel so well. It's like I've come down with a bug, and I'm getting slower.
Affordable Computers. We fix sick computers. Your hometown guys at Affordable Computers will repair your PC in half the time of the big boys at an affordable price. No tricks, no gimmicks, no computer speak technobabble, just good, quick, and courteous affordable service and repairs. Want to affordably supercharge your PC? Affordable Computers on Highway 58. Affordable Computers hand builds all desktops in-house. If you're looking for a better-than-new refurb laptop, $150 will get you a Dell or another name brand at Affordable Computers. Affordable Computers, Highway 58, between Arby's and Taco Bell. Also Fort O, Battlefield Parkway, near Holcomb's. Affordable Computers, we service what we sell. Call 499-1975. That's 499-1975.
Wow, this is amazing. I'm feeling great. Supercharged.
Do you feel better outside your home or business than in? Indoor air quality is important. Mildew, mold, smoke, water, and rodent damage are prime causes of poor indoor air quality. Ducts, Indoor Air Professionals, better known as Duct Busters, cleans HVAC systems using 127 definable Duct Busters steps. Let Mark Thompson address the indoor air quality at your business to help reduce employee illnesses. Prevent fires by cleaning your dryer vents. Mark and his parents, Dick and Joan Thompson, have been building our local economy and helping local people with HVAC systems 16 years. Ducts, Indoor Air Professionals. Call 876-9907. 876-9907. Ducks. Call now.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Fox News Radio. I'm Lillian Wu. The president took a rare trip to Capitol Hill to try and drum up support for members of his own party on a House vote for a controversial trade bill, not won over House Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi, who's voting no on a worker training bill.
Our free trade agreements have not been negotiated with the intent of keeping jobs in our country.
Democrat Gene Green of Texas is voting no, and just only about 20 Democrats have publicly said they'll support so-called fast-track legislation.
Fox Radio's John Decker. As a search for two escaped killers continue, authorities say they're getting more information on what happened from the prison workers suspected of helping them.
I'm most afraid of somebody in my community is going to get hurt. That's what I'm afraid of. These two men are murderers. They're convicted murderers.
Clinton County DA Andrew Wiley. Fox News. We report, you decide.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's Nooganomics with David Toulis.
What does that sound like? Does that sound like prosperity? What does it sound like? Well, what I have jangling in my hands, or should I say clanking in my hands, is money. That's money. Now I'm going to put the money down on my counter here. Now I want you to listen to this. What is that? Well, these are coins. They're made of cheap slag metals. They once meant something. For example, I've got some pennies in this set of hands here that I'm reaching over to the other mic to show you. A quarter. Well, what is a quarter? A quarter should be 25% of something, right? A quarter of something. Well, in math, if you have a zero and you want to divide by 4 or anything else, and you get a quarter, well, you can't get anything. You cannot have a quarter of zero. And yet that's exactly what we have. We have something which is a kind of a mathematical impossibility. We have money that isn't worth nothing, and yet we can have a quarter of it. And that would be the 25-cent coin, as we also call it, the coin that has George Washington's profile on it with his bundle of hair over his neck and his ponytail. That's a coin. It's called a quarter, but it's not a quarter of anything. And so how is it that we have coins that have that name? Remembering the name, in the name we remember that the coinage, the money, if you will, was once worth something. These clanking coins they're called Morgan dollars. I have 3 of them. I bought them for about $8 a piece as a younger man, and they're probably worth now $40 or $50 each. And they are money, right? They are dollars. They're silver. I think they have about 400 grains of silver, 90% fine. And these are circulating coins. They were actually part of the money supply, maybe even here in Chattanooga back in the day before Richard Nixon, who finally closed the gold window and ended the last vestiges of honest money here in the United States, and put the world, thanks to him, put the world on a paper money standard, which is to say no standard at all. There is no standard if your medium of exchange is not lawful and does not represent something. In other words, the bills that you issue, if they do not represent coins of value held on reserve by the issuer of the note, well, you are simply playing with monopoly money. And there is going on a great harvest, a harvest of the people, a harvest against the people. You can see it in several sectors, and they are all harvests of the grimmest kind. And we here in Hamilton County, we here in Chattanooga, we are the victims of it. And most people don't think of it this way, and they're not, you might say, cynical as I am. But really, I'm not a cynic. I'm a very optimistic person, very positive in my theory. But to be positive, I would say I have, by God's grace, I have some sense of God's providence, and the overall work of Christendom is more toward godliness, more toward equity, more toward justice, and away from all the systems of men under which we struggle and under which we labor today, that are part of the skimming economy, the harvest economy, where inmates are harvested, student borrowers are harvested, families are harvested, and even the elderly. The elderly are part of a great mechanism of harvest where through loans, through long-term insurance policies and others, their estates are consumed by corporations who feed off of them, providing them some modicum of service and a little bit of liquidity when their houses are put into hock. And we here in Chattanooga are suffering from this economy, and I think in the great meltdown ahead that we are all facing, being half of what we are now financially, maybe even more. So some people will lose half of their net worth, and others will certainly lose more. A few will come out ahead because they not because they saw it coming, but because they have a connection. They have some kind of connection with politics, with people higher up on the chain of credit, of putting credit out into the economy, and so they're going to come out ahead. Now there is a real harvest going on, and that's in our favor, and that would be here in Hixson. It's taking place now. There's a new store that has opened, a grocery store, a retailer with an organic, loco-centric, local food, local economy idea. Really, you'd say it's an ideal. It's run by three entrepreneurs. Tim McClure, who is a builder and a developer, and his family has been, his mother and father were both connected with either the Reed House or the Hilton here in Chattanooga in the food side of that hospitality company. Michael Case is the second, and Dr. Charles Crump, a physician, is the third investor. And there's some borrowed funding in that venture. But the idea of Harvest Grocery is that we're going to harvest local economy. We're going to harvest local farms, local goods, and many of the food items and other items are from local providers, local sellers, local farmers, local growers. Local artisans, and that is a harvest I think that we should think about as one to cheer our hearts. And so I do recommend that you take time off today and go buy Harvest Grocery, or have your wife make her shopping list out and have her try this new locally owned retailer here in Chattanooga. It's in the old Bilo Shopping Center that was completely revised by an ambitious builder who wanted things done his own way. And of course, he made it all happen with advice and counsel of people who know that field. It's a Harvest Grocery just over the railroad tracks and the bridge from Abba's house here in Hixson, just down the street from our modest studio. My name is David Toulis, and our show is Nuganomics.com. Tim McClure says, we're thrilled to open our first store in Hixson. A lot of forethought and preparation have gone into the creation of Harvest Grocery. We're so thankful for the warm welcome from the community. Well, our show is Nuganomics.com, and we're the number 4 show here. The first being that of the kid, Russell, on Digital Drive. He's our news director, young man who never set foot in a school, and that is he's been to conferences and such like, of course, but not a schooled person at all. And yet you'll find that he has a rich and lively analysis of the tech sector and a devoted interest in the marketplace. And he is more of a classical liberal than I am in some respects, and I'm learning from him. I'm the owner of the station. I'm learning from the kid, and I'm glad to recommend him to you every day at noon. And the show Digital Drive. We say here, love your neighbor and buy local. And online, we're at hotnewstalkradio.com. On your smartphone, just get the TuneIn Radio app. It's free, and type in Hot News Talk Radio, and there we are. Wanted to mention Affordable Computers, where I've got a Dell here from Affordable, and it's a local business with 2 outlets, one on Highway 58 there between the Arby's and the Taco Bell, and all repairs are done there. The computer does not leave Chattanooga, does not leave that building. In fact, it's taken care of right there and in breakneck speed. If you want a new computer, Affordable will build you one. Everything new is custom made, and if you get past needs that go beyond $600, well, Affordable will offer a very good price break compared to the national builders of new computers. New computers are designed to fail. They're designed to last
a year or two, and they're not easily repairable. They do not use standardized parts, as Affordable does, which means your Affordable computer will last longer, and you can have it repaired anywhere in the world because the parts are standard, not proprietary. Call 499-1975. That's 499-1975. That's Affordable Computers, and you will find that your dealings with them are to your advantage. Also, to your advantage is Advantage Printing. We're sponsored by Advantage Printing in Brainerd. One of my favorite writers is Charles Hugh Smith, and I repost today at Nuganomics.com his essay about the herd, and he has a dynamic and dramatic analysis of our bleak economic situation that is going to the bottom. We're at the end of a period, a 30-year long time frame, where money has been credit has been created from nothing, money is produced from nothing, and we are suffering under a suppression of the rate of interest, which is something that the market says. But the market's not allowed to speak on what the price of future money is, right? The price of credit, it can't really get its message out. And so we don't know what the value of credit is next year or tomorrow. We simply can't know because we've been laboring, the economy has been laboring, you might very giddily perhaps, under violent and very wild creation credit. Charles Hugh Smith's argument is that the Fed is funneling the investing herd off a cliff. It's a remarkable image. And he says, what happens to price in a bidless market? Well, everything goes off the cliff. When no one's buying these equities, no one's buying these paper assets, what happens? Well, you have a gigantic crash. He says, as you probably know by now, lemmings did not voluntarily commit mass suicide. They were driven off the cliff by those in charge. And investors are like the mythical lemmings. They're being herded off the cliff by the Federal Reserve. Well, because the Federal Reserve has such low rates of interest, banks don't pay anything, and everybody's sort of herded out of deposits and into risky assets. And when the risk assets blow up, Smith says, the herd plunges headlong over the cliff en masse. Virtually every statistic and every public utterance by Federal Reserve spokespeople or mouthpieces is designed to persuade us of several things that are not true. Three of them, the official stats on unemployment, GDP, are accurate reflections of economic reality. That's one myth. Number two, that risk assets, stocks, bonds, and real estate are no longer risky, right? Because the Fed has your back. And the third one is that too big to fail and jail corporations are the foundations of our prosperity, and no expense will be spared to bail them out and to restore corporate balance sheets and profits. These are all untrue, but the problem is that the truth is still there, and so the Fed has to constantly overcome the weight of truth with propaganda and persuasion. And if that fails, he says, then it must strip anyone who dares leave the herd for any safe reason or for safe returns on their capital. In other words, if you leave the risk on herd, you lose any hope of low risk returns. And if you manage anyone else's money, you also lose your job. So people who are advisors, financial advisors, people who are regulated by the federal government to give financial advice, they are all part of this herding that he describes. The mass herding of investor behavior with the rewards of pseudo safety, right? Pseudo safety in risk assets and the punishments of near zero yields on really low risk assets has a downside. That would be your bank deposits. And that is when the risk assets fall out of favor, that is when risk once again becomes visible, there are no buyers left, all right? No buyers left. What does that mean? Well, everyone is seeking a return was funneled into risk assets long ago. Once you funnel everyone into risk assets, he says, and then mask the risk to generate complacency, you guarantee a bidless market when risk reappears. So here's what he's saying. When everyone suddenly realizes that the house of cards is just that, and that there is no, these stock assets, these other things are not really worth as much as we think they are and as much as we bought them for. Well, we're all going to want to go to the exits, right? Everyone's going to want to sell. Well, if everyone wants to sell, coming to this realization, right, that these are extremely risky assets in national economy, right, in national economy, well, what happens? Well, no one will be there to buy, right? If everybody's in the same herd, we've all been funneled by the Fed off the cliff. Who is going to buy? Who will buy? There will not be any buyers left, he says. He says that the core idea here is that sustaining the illusion of growth will cause people to borrow more money, hire more people, because they mistakenly believe that our economy is going gangbusters. Why does it appear to be going gangbusters? Well, because of not having real money in circulation. No, there's no real money circulating, just paper money, credit, and a few coins that people like me carry around in their pockets that are worth nothing. You have quarters that are worth not a quarter of anything, right? 25% of nothing. They are, in the end, nothing. He says when the herd tries to sell their risk-on assets, there won't be any buyers left except the central banks. The central banks don't actually want to own all the risk-on assets. They simply wanted to con us into buying them at nosebleed valuations to keep the illusion going. What happens to price in a bidless market? Well, it goes off a cliff. He says when the herd wants to sell, it will find no other herd of buyers. The Fed drove everyone into one herd, and now the Fed is funneling that herd off the there's no volatility left anywhere cliff. That is the financial situation. And at the end of this long cycle, which could be 6 years out that some of these things happen, I think he's probably close in what he's going to happen, what will likely happen. I don't know enough about economics to say, of course. I don't give financial advice. I don't give any kind of investment advice. So, but my own reading suggests that he's very close to being accurate, and that there's something to what he says. And the picture of the end is we're seeing it this week in Zimbabwe, a story we thought had finished long ago, and that is the final elimination of the Zimbabwe dollar. And here's what's going to happen this coming week. If you're in Zimbabwe, you can make a swap. If you have a bank account balance with $175 quadrillion in it, you will be paid $5. Of course, now the $175 quadrillion are Zimbabwe dollars, and you'll be paid in a green rectangle with a 5 written on it. That's an American dollar. Of course, it'll be a digital version of it. So it'll be a transfer. Those with balances above $175 quadrillion, in other words, the rich people in Zimbabwe, they'll be paid a little bit better, an exchange rate of $1 to 35 quadrillion Zimbabwe dollars. Now, the bank, the central bank there, which is in principle no different from that which is run by Grandma Yellen, the white-haired chairman of the Federal Reserve System. In principle, no different, right? The last banknote that it printed was the $100 trillion Zimbabwe dollar note. Now, because we're so concerned about the use of cash here, we don't have any bill bigger than the $100 bill. Eventually, if there's a mass inflation or a hyperinflation, which is always a possibility, you're going to have to print notes that are usable, because otherwise $100 will buy you a hamburger, and then no one can really use cash anymore. But if that happens, people will revert to using money, right? They'll use lawful money, or they'll go to using cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin. And we do, by the way, have a Bitcoin group here in Chattanooga that meets once a month at the public library on the 4th floor, where all kinds of interesting things are tried and experimented, where software developers work, where there's a movie maker, Robert Ashton Winslow, is working up there. And so Bitcoin will be an alternative to the green rectangle. And my hope is that we will prosper, and that we will come out ahead. But I think we have to divest national and invest local. We are in a harvest economy. Local economy has a harvest. We have Harvest grocery store opening today. It's a picture of local economy. Students are harvested as well. There's an essay in the Money Changer, which in fact I think I've reposted at Nuganomics.com, and it's about the student loan sector. That sector rose from $509 billion at the end of the first quarter in 2006 to $1.355 trillion at the end of the first quarter this year. It's multiplying 2.6 times in 9 years. These are mostly government loans, although there are state lenders. Before 2010, Many loans originated through private lenders with government guarantees, but those guarantees ended 5 years ago. It's obvious, he says, but seldom mentioned, that student loans themselves generate a vicious cycle of rising tuition costs. The more loans make tuition money artificially available, the more tuition will rise because more money is made available to pay it. Currently, about 2/3 of graduating college students have student loans. It is a servitude to have a student loan. He says, what's a student borrower? Well, a student borrower monetizes and sells his future labor in return for tuition money today. He pledges his future earnings as collateral for the loan. He sells his labor in advance. He binds himself to labor as long as it takes to pay back the loan. And in fact, he will not be able to eviscerate it in bankruptcy. The Americans are selling themselves the same way. Well, and then he says, what's a student borrower? Well, then the next question really is, what is an indentured servant? Well, indentured servitude is lawful. The scriptures regulate it. It was a very common practice in the colonial period. People sold themselves for passage to the colonies. And one who is an indentured servant is one who monetizes his future labor, right? By accepting a payment today, which was in those days transportation to the United States or to America, in return for binding himself to labor for 7 years. You sell your labor in advance. And so I guess the next question is, what's a slave? Well, a slave is a person whose future labor has been monetized by the owner in return for what? What does he get back? Well, he gets back legally guaranteed sustenance, food, shelter, care in infancy, infirmity, and old age. And that binds him to labor all his life. His labor is sold in advance, and there's a trade-off. He's got full health care. He got full health. That's what a slave is. He has full care of his person, even in his old age. That's what Southern antebellum slavery was like. That you bought a man, you monetize his services are monetized by the payment to the slave trader or the other owner, and you have his use of that man his whole life. But you have to take care of him. You have to feed him, and the distinctions become blurred. Sanders says, when we ponder that student loans are taken out in the fraudulently induced and quixotic hope, a fraudulently induced and quixotic hope that jobs will be available in the future so that the borrower can earn and pay back the loan. If the job does not materialize, the student borrower is nonetheless bound to labor for the lender until both loan and interest that's still accruing are paid off or death do them part. The borrower is bound for life because in 2005, the lenders persuaded Congress to abolish bankruptcy for student loans. What's more, if no job arrives, it becomes possible for the student loan lenders to harvest not only the borrower, but also the borrower's family if they choose to bail him out. That's a harvest. That is a harvest in national economy. We have harvesting of prisoners. We have harvesting of student borrowers. And what about the elderly? Well, there's Obamacare. There are all kinds of machines that are devised by brilliant people and corporations to suck out the assets of people before they die, to suck them dry and to leave nothing but empty shells. Well, what about you? What about you? Are your parents left on the dole? They're valuable in some regards to the dole operators because they keep the money flowing, and if their assets have all been consumed and they're on the public dole entirely, well, there is a bit of expense there, but the system can't get it right every time, right? Maybe your parents are better off on that machine. Well, my name is David Toulis, and I don't want to say that leaving you with a bleak view. I think these things are true. We need to understand them as true, and we need to say, what can I do here in Chattanooga and Helena County to counteract the pernicious, the evil effects of the system, which dehumanizes people, views them as so much capital to be skimmed, to be consumed by a system which is untenable, which itself is bankrupt. It's a bankrupt system. Well, I think the idea in some would be loving your neighbor and buying local, loving your neighbor, caring about your neighbor. How about this? How about getting to know your neighbor? That's That sounds like an odd thing, but on the way home, why don't you stop? Why don't you stop? On your way home today, stop and meet somebody who's on your street. You've seen that person for years, but you've never met him. Why don't you stop and have a conversation? Your wife, she knows you might be a bit later. That's fine. She can wait. Dinner can wait a little longer. Just stop and chat with somebody on the way home, somebody you've seen for at least a year. Okay, find that person. Well, this is David Toulis, and these are very slight reforms in the direction of local economy and free markets. And my website, to which you need to go, is Nuganomics.com. That's Nuganomics.com for the man who matters.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Are you calling me Yeller? Them's is fighting words.
Being called yellow, not a compliment. Yellow, the international symbol for caution. Yellow. You certainly wouldn't want to eat yellow snow. Yuck. We typically avoid yellow. So why would you put your hard-earned money into an outdated, expensive, slower yellow page? Or even trust their advice? Especially when your hard-earned advertising dollars could go much further, earning you greater profits, using the multifaceted resources and expertise of Chattanooga Web Services. You want real results for your advertising dollars. The local Chattanooga media experts, Chattanooga Web Services, will help your business grow, utilizing diversified media resources that's affordable to you, whether it involves the internet's World Wide Web, video, audio, or modern-day print. So don't get sucked into the yellow folks trying to upsell you into spending even more money as it ventures into a territory unfamiliar to them, the internet. Call Chattanooga Web Services, 424-3373. That's 424-3373. Or go to ChattanoogaWebServices.com, ChattanoogaWebServices.com.
Don't worry, just relax, you need a car. Come to Automax.
My wife and I keep the cost down. We sell a quality vehicle at a great price. Our overhead is low. I have no employees, so I can keep my costs down. In turn, the consumer gets a better price. Everything that I sell is emission ready. We really try to go the extra mile for our customer. I don't have to pay an employee commission. I don't have to pay somebody to come out here and wash my cars. I do it all from buying to selling from A to Z. I don't have the overhead where I have to raise the price on my vehicle to cover costs. Here at Automax, you're going to guarantee that you get credit. As long as you're making those payments, you're going to build on your credit. Unlike the buy here, pay here's where they don't report to credit bureaus, we report to all three credit bureaus. The subprime lenders that we deal with, you don't have to have any credit, or you can have bad credit. You can even have a bankruptcy, a repossession.
Don't worry, just relax, you need a car. Come to Automax.
Automax, across from Central High on Highway 58 in Harrison. Automax, 643-2886. That's 643-2886. Go to AutomaxChat.com. That's AutomaxChat.com.
Hot News Talk 1240.
Surgery does not have to be financially painful. Hi, I'm Surgical Dr. David Redd, and I'd like to invite you to my walk-in surgery clinic in North Shore. Quick Surge brings you immediate relief from moles, skin tags, maybe a laceration. Quick Surge. You walk in, fill out a mini form, I numb the area I'll treat, and before you know it, you're on your way home. Do I take insurance? No, because I take cash customers. I have super low and fixed prices, credit card, check, or cash. Uninsured? Member of the working financially disadvantaged? Choose Quick Surge. I publish prices online. No murk, just sunshine. Hassle-free, pain-free. Love the idea of a personal relationship with a doctor? Drop in with a nasty cut from work. Quick Surge. I'll take care of you. Quick Surge is a public center on the North Shore. No insurance hassles with Quick Surge. The national medical system is dysfunctional, overpriced, very alienating. I'm part of the solution, and so are you. Come on home. QuickSurge.com. QUIKSURG. Relief.
Here you are, working to keep your customers happy and to manage your cash flow. IRS problems are the last thing you need, but here they are, flapping about you like vultures. Get help from Eric Pelton and his team of accountants at EJ Pelton Company. Audits, letters, proposed return changes, 1099s, penalty threats. Pelton Tax Resolution Services brings peace of mind and helps you keep more of what you've earned. EJPelton.com. Offices on Brandon Road and in Soddy Daisy, just north of the Bilo. That's EJ Pelton. Call 622-3156. Think ahead, 622-3156.
When my brother and I opened the first Jets Pizza, we believed if we made the best pizza, customers would find us. So we made fresh dough each day, used fresh toppings, and premium mozzarella cheese. 300 plus stores later, we still do.
Try Jet's famous 8-corner pizza with premium mozzarella cheese and one topping, now just $11.99 for a limited time only. Jet's Pizza, the best pizza in town. 3600 Hickson Pike.
Life is short.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
WSDT Sunny Daisy, Chattanooga.
CBS News, I'm Deborah Rodriguez. Police in northern New York may be closing in on 2 convicted murderers who broke out of prison almost a week ago. Correspondent Anna Werner is in Katyville, New York.
Over my head right now, there's a helicopter coming over, just I'd say a couple hundred, maybe 1,000 feet over the tree line. They've been doing circles here for the last 20, 25 minutes or more. They're circling slowly now, looking clearly for the escapees. And a resident here has just told me that police told him they believe that the escapees are on his 50 acres of land.
There have been previous reported sightings of the men, which turned up nothing. But earlier, police said search dogs picked up their scent, along with 2 sets of fresh footprints and food wrappers. President Obama made an in-person appeal to members of the House this morning, but fellow Democrats later handed him a partial defeat on the Pacific trade deal. CBS News congressional correspondent Stephen Portnoy.
Lawmakers narrowly approved half of the trade package, the key fast-track authority that President Obama needs to strike deals. But with Democrats leading the march, the House rejected the first part of the bill, which offers retraining to workers who see their jobs shipped overseas. For now, the president's trade agenda is in limbo. Hoping something might change in the next few days, Speaker John Boehner may push for a rare do-over vote early next week.
The White House is calling the vote another procedural snafu. More problems with ice cream made in the Midwest.
Jenny Britton Bauer is an ice cream enthusiast.
I love watching people eat ice cream. I actually feel more beautiful when I'm eating an ice cream cone.
But her company, Jenny's Splendid Ice Creams, has a problem, listeria. It's turned up again in its Columbus, Ohio plant, so production's been halted for the second time since April. Jenny says no ice cream was contaminated. The company's 21 retail shops are being closed till further notice.
Correspondent Sam Litzinger. His arrest sparked outrage. Now charges have been dropped against a student at the University of Virginia.
Smiling broadly outside of a Charlottesville, Virginia courtroom, Martise Johnson told reporters he hopes his case will lead to societal change.
It was a large moment of injustice, in my opinion, but I think that injustice is going to feel something that's so much more beautiful and so much more powerful within our community, but also throughout the entire nation.
The 20-year-old University of Virginia student said he's, quote, ecstatic. A judge agreed to drop charges against him. There was public uproar when Johnson was bloodied and pinned to the ground by Virginia liquor agents during his March arrest. Jim Crisula, CBS News.
Happy 91st birthday to former President George H.W. Bush. Unlike last year's skydiving celebration, Mr. Bush and former First Lady Barbara are having a low-key day at their home in Kennebunkport, Maine. 2 weeks after he broke his leg in a bicycling accident in Switzerland, Secretary of State John Kerry scheduled to be discharged from Massachusetts General Hospital today. On Wall Street, the Dow is down 162 points, NASDAQ off 32, S&P down 16. This is CBS News.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's July 4th weekend, live from Daytona. It's about rockets' red glare, white knuckles, and blue steel. Love taps, trading paint, and taking flags. It's friends, family, and a whole lot of faith. America, start your engines. NASCAR is back on NBC. The Coke 0400 Sunday, July 5th on NBC. Coverage begins July 4th on NBCSN.
This is Charles Osgood. What's the most important thing to consider when looking for the right insurance? Customer satisfaction. Auto Owners Insurance uses only local, independent agents to handle all your questions and needs. We serve policyholders, not shareholders. Our award-winning service is why Auto Owners is known as the no-problem people. Auto Owners, a policy of satisfaction.
In Rainsville, call the Goggins Insurance Agency, Rainsville, at 256-997-0029.
New information from German prosecutors about the mental state of the pilot who crashed his plane into the Swiss Alps.
Germanwings co-pilot Andrea Lubitz's online browsing history shows he's searched for deadly drugs, including cyanide, and different ways to commit suicide in the week before he crashed his Airbus into the French Alps, killing 150 people. It's also emerged Lubitz saw 41 doctors, including psychiatrists, but under German law, they could not alert his employers. The French are considering whether to bring corporate manslaughter charges against Germanwings or its parent company, Lufthansa. Larry Miller, CBS News, London.
A young British woman, a Dutch man, and a brother and sister from Canada have each pleaded guilty to stripping naked, then taking pictures at the top of Malaysia's highest peak. They've been fined, sentenced to jail time already served. Mount Kinabalu is considered sacred by many who live near it. They claim the foreigners' actions caused an earthquake.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's got third. He's going for second. Earnhardt going for the lead.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series is on the Motor Racing Network. Coverage continues Sunday here at Live on the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Check it out live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
News Talk 1240.
Right now, you can save half off at hotnewstalkradio.com. Go to hotnewstalkradio.com and click half off for exceptional deals on new and pre-owned unique quality items. For Hamilton County residents only. Save half off at Jet's Pizza, golf clubs, coffee, tea, a real sword, jewelry, and much more. It's half off. Go to half off at hotnewstalkradio.com right now, then click on half off to save big. Be sure to join us live Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays at 11 a.m. as we bring you lots of fantastic deals right here, AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. HotNewsTalkRadio.com and half off. Surf our site and ride the wave of savings.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
You've been pretty critical of Hillary Clinton, the obvious front runner.
Well, obviously, she has a credibility problem over a long history of ethical questions.
It has been well documented that those who passed this legislation never intended for folks who were going through the federal exchange not to have their citizens get subsidies.
Well, depending upon what the Supreme Court decides, we'll have a proposal that protects the American people from a very bad law.
Freedom is back in style. Welcome to the revolution. This is how we roll. Sean Hannity. The new Sean Hannity Show. More behind-the-scenes information on breaking news and more bold, inspired solutions for America.
All right, happy Friday. Glad you're with us. Write down our toll-free telephone number. We'd love to hear from you today. And you know what? I shouldn't even give you the number. Every line is jammed. Why are they jammed already? All right. Lauren says she's going to really screen hard today. So it's 800-941-SEAN. The Let Not Your Heart Be Troubled Twitter Army Brigade 24/7, 365 is at Sean Hannity. Well, you said, look at this. I can't help it that people call in before the show. They call in before the show because they're smart. And you can't punish them for being smart because they know that once I give out the phone number, that more people are likely to call, and that means that they're less likely to get through. What's that? So anyway, 800-941-SEAN. Happy Friday to you. Been a long day for me today. Today is once a year in New York, Talkers Magazine comes to town. And that's Michael Harrison. It is our industry Bible, if you will, for talk radio. And I had a great time today. I finally met Mike Francesa. He is a sports talk show host legend, and I've known him. I've listened to him for almost all my life, for crying out loud, and I never met him before. And really enjoyed spending a little time with him. I saw my buddy Brian Kilmeade. Kilmeade syndicated show is doing very, very well for Fox News. Fox News